Hi class, this is my Module 5 discussion. Recall an issue or incident you faced in a current or previous workplace that involved communication between coworkers and supervisors that either worked well or horribly. Describe the incident, then apply at least 3 of the key perspectives from this chapter to your incident. What do you believe the authors and scholars mentioned here would say about your experience? What was the role of communication? How might applying information in this chapter have improved the outcome? This is one of those questions that I know I have lots of examples, but my mind is trying to go blank. The incident I can think of is a bit ironic, as it had to do with improving communication within the department that I work in. I apologize if this becomes a bit of a rant. I'm attempting to avoid doing that. Basically, my supervisor had a problem with how I communicated with her. My tone could be a bit defensive, as well as my body posture. She also didn't care for my language. None of this was mentioned to me until my annual performance appraisal, which I was informed of 2 hours before the new time. The original time didn't work out for one reason or another, and it needed to be rescheduled. Normally, the appraisals are between the supervisor and employee only, but the human resources manager was also there. For the most part, all the sections in my appraisal said how good I was at my job, working well with my patrons, and that I'm a hard worker. It was the section on communication that got to me. Having a negative tone of voice and not talking enough during the weekly department meeting, yet again something I wasn't informed of. In the 2 years that I had been in the department, we had maybe 5 department meetings. And I also wasn't informed when they became monthly instead of weekly meetings. If I don't have something to add to a topic, I'm not going to talk just to talk. Also, by that time, I was just tired. Pretty much anything I suggested was shot down. So instead of talking with me near the time of whatever the problem was, she waited until my performance appraisal, which in one case was 6 months after the fact. I think that authors would apply information underload. Communication underload can come in the form of inadequate on-the-job training, limited feedback from one's supervisor, or insufficient information on policies and procedures in the organization. Often, communication overload is completely accidental and occurs as an inadvertent omission, page 209. For this case, the focus would be on limited feedback. With negative feedback, feedback should not only occur in formal review sessions, often referred to as summative feedback. Instead, supervisors should utilize formative feedback or periodic feedback designed to help an employee grow and develop within the organization. This would have helped, as everything wouldn't have been dumped on me at once, and not as much tension would have built up between the two of us. And then the third would be employee silence. If the manager shoots you down or gives you dirty looks at the suggestion, you will be less likely to offer advice in the future. 217. If this information was applied, I would have felt more a part of the team instead of a third wheel that sometimes was given all the information I needed. For negative feedback and employee silence, I think feedback would have been given in a reasonable amount of time, and that my opinions may have actually had some validity to them. Apply Mishara's take on grapevines to your own organizational experiences. How do they work? What are their purposes, outcomes, in what ways do they impact organizations? First, I want to say I didn't know where the term grapevine came from, and I think the history behind it is really neat. Grapevines are a type of informal communication network that are used in organizations. They work by passing information from one person to the next, spreading it throughout the organization. People are able to get a heads up when something is going to happen. They help individuals to feel more a part of the organization. As the text states on 244, grapevines help to build teamwork, motivate people, and create corporate identity. I have literally been told by someone that they had heard it through the grapevine that there was a job opening coming up soon. The most recent example of grapevines would probably be on the big shift that's happening soon. Whole departments will be moved in the building and new rooms are being built. Not everyone has access to the plans, but some of us have a good idea of what is going where because of information moving from one person to the next, which fulfills the fifth reason found on page 244 of why the grapevine exists. Grapevines satisfy individuals' needs to know what is actually going on within an organization. 244. How does understanding networking in an organization benefit or harm the organization? Think brass and be specific with your examples. Knowing how an organization's network works can be beneficial, such as with Brass's measures found on page 257. Reachability looks at both direct and indirect ties. Using these, you can find out how many links it takes to connect to individuals in a communication network. Inclusiveness could be harmful to an organization due to isolates. Isolates are those who are isolated from the organization. If a rival company wanted to get insider information, they probably would try to find the isolates to get this information. Hopefully that covered everything. Thank you.